Sup? Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I'm Morrow, your storyteller for today. With me I have some more RPG horror stories. Speaking of RPGs and less horror stories, I'm kind of excited to start getting to the prospect of designing my own games on the dark, because I have some players that are interested in exploring that area. It's a daunting task, but it's also kind of a cool task because I get to decide, along with Mary and Micah as well, how we want our Underdark in our world to look like. Particular type of mushrooms and flora, or more fungus than flora. But enough about the RPG aspect, let's get to the horror story aspect for today. GM changes what the PC is saying without telling the player about the change. Aside from a story, I like to genuinely ask, am I the a-hole? So playing this Bronze Age GURPS campaign, the GM on a whole is generally good at what he does, listens to player concerns, etc. But recently there's been a situation where we do not see eye to eye at all. I will try to lay out the story as simply as I can, with as little bias as I'm able to. Another PC intended to give some knife lessons. My character goes socializing to hopefully drum up some students, some teens who dream of becoming warriors or such. I crit fail the result, and suggest that might mean my character hit on a taken girl and gets in trouble for it. Makes sense, because he is a womanizer and GM agrees. So far so good. Boyfriend comes up, acts tough, and demands money for this slight on his honor. My character points out that he has bested 3 words alone, unarmed, kinda true, kinda false. That I wasn't going to pay and suggested that he might have accidentally gotten the wrong person. GM calls for an intimidation check. Not quite what I was going for, as I simply stated facts as that in a cordial manner. But it makes a certain amount of sense that it didn't matter in the end, so as I, of course, roll another critical failure. Or if he gets more agitated and demands more money. Fair enough, he's not intimidated after all. My character refuses to pay and it escalates into a fistfight, in which, since I still try my best not to make things worse, I deliberately make sure people see him throw the first punch. My character beat him up in a bit, and this is essentially the end of the scene. Why am I typing the story? Seems like a perfectly ordinary scene, right? Well, an in-game week later, my character's boss is pissed as hell. He claims my character called the girlfriend a lady of the night, and that I threatened to murder the boyfriend and everyone he loves. Boss insists I pay reparations or get the hell out. Whoa, okay, yeah, I feel like the DM is kind of putting words in your mouth out of nowhere. Or maybe this could be a subplot of somebody actually spreading misinformation, using some sort of like a, I don't know, like a superpower to change the perception of reality. Let's say, for example, hypothetically, I mean, this is just me theorizing, you have a rival or somebody who really doesn't like your character, and they see you get in a fight and think, ooh, I could use some sort of mental powers, because I think GURPS is pretty flexible when it comes to like different powers for characters and stuff. I could use some sort of mental powers to make it seem like the guy did something worse and everybody just remembers a different reality instead of exactly what happened. That could be maybe that, but it's a bit of a stretch. Could be an interesting plot point, but let's see how it goes. I of course figure that the boyfriend is simply telling lies to my boss, so I tell him to ask the witness. It is a small village, so easy to do, and we have plenty of people around. He said they already did and that they corroborate with the boyfriend's story. Alright, it is a small village and we're essentially outsiders. Not too weird that they would side with our buddy. Since my character has no interest in working with the people who eagerly slander him, and since we were just about done there anyways, my character opts to get the hell out. Then I, the player, find out that pretty much everything I just told you regarding the original scene is false. Apparently my character did call the girlfriend a lady of the night, and he didn't say the stuff about how he had the wrong person. Say he just threatened to kill him and everyone he loves. Apparently my character forgot he did, as they happened. I'll also point out that during this exchange, my character had no peculiar reason to be heated and he was completely sober. It sounds like your GM is putting words into your character's mouth for no reason, and my question is, why? What is the point for this? Is it to make the story more exciting, more zany? Isn't it your character and you decide how you want to respond, and then it just, how it gets interpreted by the dice rolls? Maybe the DM is misunderstanding what a natural one is. Natural one doesn't mean the DM just gets to put in some sort of like a fumbled words or something in there just to make it like completely turn around, or I don't know. Maybe some DMs run it like that. If you roll natural one, you suddenly say something that's completely unhinged or rude without you having self-control like Reds or something. I don't know. I don't like that specific ruling though. I feel like you have the autonomy for your player character to say what you think you're gonna say, but then the dice rolls can determine reaction from the NPCs you're interacting with. And unfortunately they get natural ones, so I mean, maybe their reception would have been different, but not if they're gonna just stuff words into your character's mouth. That feels a little bit like a stretch, honestly. I think GM's putting words in my PC's mouth makes sense when their approach is vague. If I simply said, I intimidate him to back off, I feel GM would be justified to have my character do wild threats on a critical failure. But when I explicitly go over the words he says, it seems weird to me to just change them based on a dice result, rather than the result determining what effect the world has. Even worse, I'm not told that the words have changed, and I can't run with the new crap of the scene. If I said, you can't hold back with your measured response and instead lash out by threatening to murder him and everyone he loves, then I wouldn't have liked it, but at least I would have ran with it. But instead my character raved like a madman, only to the moment later be sensible enough to let the boyfriend get the first blow. To make it even worse, he forgot to tell one of the PCs present what was actually said, though he admits that was an oversight on his part. So I'll end with how I started by asking, am I the a-hole? Neither the GM nor the other players seem to see any particular issue with this, so I'm genuinely curious. No, you're not the a-hole. I feel like your GM is an a-hole because they're just putting words into your character's mouth when you literally never said that. At the end of the day, like, you told him exactly what you said, and if the DM was like, or GM, whatever you call it, oh, because of this natural one, you end up slipping some extra insults to the guy. You know, that'd be one thing, unfair, but still be one thing. At least you'll be aware of what's going on, what's happening, and be able to roll with it. But at this moment, it feels like GM just kind of making up stuff on the spot. It's like, oh yeah, he rolled a natural one in those situations, so he probably said something horrible or obscene or unhinged and stuff and had a whole crash out. I don't like the fact that the word crash out is becoming my modern day lingo, but whatever, I'm rolling with the punches, dude. I'm rolling with it. Not the a-hole. I feel like GM is kind of a low-key a-hole for forcing characters to say stuff that you never decided to say. Maybe ask him not to do that again, because that seems like it's completely unnecessary. Anyway, definitely not the a-hole in my books. Let's get to the next story for today. First-time player gets invited to a game, then gets kicked out for not knowing how to play. Hi, I'm pretty familiar with D&D and similar games, but I had never actually played until fairly recently. I was invited to a D&D party by my ex-roommate and her friends, saying that they wanted more people at the table and that, you are pretty creative, it would be fun having you there. They had already been playing for a while, around a quarter of a year, and had more experience playing, but I was assured that me being new was not a problem. There were 5 of us in total. Well, things didn't exactly go as I thought they would. At first, things were fine. I wanted to make a character, I was told that they needed a healer. I wasn't too familiar with the class as yet, so I ended up going with a druid after some research. I made a fun, creative little character and we started playing. I was having fun messing with my character's abilities and role-playing with others, but when it came to combat, my character was rather useless. I later found out that the reason for my stats sucked so bad compared to my teammates was that they had been rolling their stats with bigger dice than me. I was told how to roll my stats by them, and the DM ended up letting them keep their stats but had me be nerfed from the start because your class is OP and I don't know exactly how it works yet. Side note, they all had either increased stats or special equipment of some sort. What? Wait, so your DM that has no idea, they've been playing D&D for a bit, has no idea how your class works and just assumes your class is OP when they don't know how it works? A druid is OP? I mean, as a spellcaster, yeah, a druid is pretty darn powerful if you're stacking primarily wisdom or you're going a little bit of like wisdom and dexterity and stuff, depends on what kind of character you're really making and putting out there. But this is, not only is that unfair that you're rolling with crappy stats, but also the DM says your class is OP and I don't know how it works. I have no idea how you're supposed to run, so I'm gonna nerf you anyway without studying it. What DM just says, I don't know how your class works, and I'm not gonna research it, so you're nerfed. Haha. What? This is insanity. If you're gonna be DMing in any capacity, whether new or old, you know what the one thing you can do? Read. That's available online for free. You don't even have to get any of the books. This information and rules are available for free. This stuff is available for free for people to explore and enjoy and to learn. It's not that difficult. You got 2 versions as well too, the 2014 version and the 2024 version. It's not difficult to learn this stuff, just got to freaking read. And then the audacity to be like, your class is OP even though I know nothing about it, so you're nerfed. That completely ruins the whole point of building the character with a new player in the first place. They knew, they don't know how to play. The last thing you want to do is keep them shafted. I don't think it's going to give them a pleasant experience just to start off shafted compared to everybody else. At the end of my second session with them, we got into a boss fight. I got a target at first because of an action I did early and was heavily damaged right off the bat. My HP went from double digits to single digits, and I was so low on HP I was too scared to even get close to the enemy, trying my best to support my party from the sidelines with my range attacks. Nearing the end of the battle, I used my ability to turn into a wolf and try to be creative, asking the DM if I could use a cantrip, Create Flame, to light myself on fire, since I knew the flame could be put on weapons for fire damage, so why not put it on myself? They didn't know at first, but allowed it. It didn't really end up mattering anyway because my attacks did so little that I only got 1 bite in before the boss was dead from my teammate attacks. Remember this for later. Oh my god. Nobody tell Mary that she can light herself on fire with produce flame. Don't let Mary light herself on fire. She's gonna be a monster, just a flame-covered monstrosity running around setting everybody on fire. Oh my god. Is that what the new, like, is that the 2024 produce flame? Is that what that does? You can just imbue your weapon in flame? Crazy. We all got XP from this fight and leveled up to where I could pick my druid circle in the roll 20 character builder. I ended up picking mountain because I thought it fit my character best without knowing that we were actually more options than what was listed in roll 20. I got told of this by the DM himself, who told me to go with a moon circle instead because it allows me to turn into more powerful creatures. I was excited at this and accepted. What followed were 2 sessions of just one giant boss fight against 3 strong as heck monsters that brought 2 of my teammates so low that could barely do anything. One of them was a strong DNPC who would have died without, and the other was a rogue who was at 2 HP. So I decided to turn myself into a brown bear and use this ability to multi-attack to protect my party from the giant monster. I did my job quite well. My damage was still crap, but the monster kept missing its hits, so I kept multi-attacking to at least make a dent in its HP, as my regular attacks did literally nothing. Finally doing damage in double digits and feeling helpful, going in for my 3rd multi-attack, the DM asked me, "Hey, are you sure you want to do a multi-attack again?" And I should have realized that something was wrong. I'd been muttering about how unfair the move was since I started using it, but I put no mind to it. I said yeah, and did so, missing my first attack and hitting low on the second one. Then the DM says, "You multi-attack the monster, and the monster responds with its own." It nearly one-shot me with the first attack and does me in with a second, after which the rogue literally one-shots it with a single arrow. The DM is like, "Are you sure you want to multi-attack? Because you know, I'm just gonna give this monster a multi-attack back." Also, multi-attack on a brown bear is not that powerful. Brown bears themselves, whether you're using 2024 or 2014 stats, I don't know which one you're using. I'm assuming you're using 2024, but that's just my assumption. If you're just rocking a brown bear, yeah, they have multi-attack, but the multi-attack is not really that powerful. Their AC is pretty low. The health can be kind of chunky, but that's the whole bit with playing a moon druid. When you're a moon druid, you get more advanced forms, and that's basically really what you get. Other druid subclasses get more spells and more unique features to them, but moon druid just basically goes, okay, I'm gonna be the best wild shaper, the best shapeshifter. I'm gonna be specific or hardcore focusing into shapeshifting into cooler beasts that can actually be useful in battle. And in this situation, if you fight the boss fight for 2 sessions, by the way, continuously, oh no, that's not 1 boss fight, but 3 boss fights for 2 sessions. Yeah, turning into a bear seems like the most reasonable thing to do because you basically are playing the tank of the party right now, making sure that nobody else is getting slapped around. And yes, brown bears come with multi-attack because that's what brown bears do. They come with multi-attack, but the multi-attack is not exactly the most powerful thing ever. They don't have like insane OP stats or anything. It's just part of it. It's just part of what it is to play a moon druid. Some creatures are gonna have multi-attack, some don't. Some may have poison attacks, like playing like a giant eagle or giant owl. I think have a flyby feature where you can just fly away from opportunity attacks and just never get affected by them. I think maybe it's just the eagle, but not the owl. I don't remember. I need to double check. The point still, when you're playing a moon druid, the specific perks that come with playing a moon druid, including more powerful forms that have multi-attack. It's just part of the rules, it's part of the game, and it's pretty balanced because the brown bear is not the most OP creature out there. I failed my death save and our party had a really sad moment. They loved my character, or at least the rogue and ranger did. My character died after only just 4 sessions and I was absolutely destroyed. I did what I could and was only trying to protect my party even though I was less strong than any of them. And the DM just had to get one up on me for using an ability I'm well within my right to use because it made my attack actually useful for once. I decided to make a new character, a cleric, which the DM promptly nerfed again because of my apparently too high wisdom stat and started playing again. But it was clear that I was being looked at differently by the DM at this point. I had no money, my party did all the next sessions were basically just all spent on shopping, so I was just standing around doing nothing the whole time. At the next session, we're after a cave and my party members didn't want to go inside, but I was feeling really bored and at this point I decided to have a look in there just so I can do something. The DM said nothing. 2 steps in, I hear singing, get a wisdom saving throw and fail. Rendered me useless and absent from everything again. As you might be able to guess, harpies were involved this time and during this whole fight, I got to do like 3 attacks total between being paralyzed and absolutely useless. Again, the only useful thing I ended up doing was healing my party after the fight, but I knew it was a lost cause at this point. Felt rather excluded and very much useless as my party was way stronger than me, had more chemistry with each other characters overall, and just felt left out of the fun. Feeling more like a mandatory healer NPC than an actual player. I feel like your DM has some sort of personal vendetta on you because this feels a little bit like targeting at this point. They don't like your druid, nerf your druid. They don't like your cleric, nerf your cleric. What, for having a decent wisdom stat? It's their spellcasting stat. What do you mean you're gonna be upset at them? Nerfing them further? Dude, treat everybody fairly or not at all. If everybody else in the party gets to have fun, this new player should have fun as well. What is the issue with the cleric as well? Is it because you don't know the cleric and you think the cleric is going to be overpowered because you don't know anything about the cleric as well, just like the druid? Seriously, this DM sucks. It all came to a head a day ago when my party was planning our next session, and the DM stated that he isn't counting on me anymore. I asked why, and he told me it's because I don't tell him beforehand that I won't show up. That only happened once. Something suddenly came up and I wasn't feeling it that day, and I told him as such, after which he got really pissy with me, and I basically sternly told him that he can't get upset at me for having a life outside of D&D, and said, Fighter does this all the time, and you respect it, so why am I getting lectured? The fighter was mostly absent from sessions due to his personal life. He said nothing after that. His second reason was that apparently I can't play, don't know how to play my character, and that my constant questions are ruining the game. Mind you, I didn't ask questions often. I never asked him how my spells worked or how I should play. All my questions were situational, like, can I light myself on fire question. They never brought it up to me afterwards, but apparently the DM was mad at me for it being that's not how the spell works. But none of us knew that at the time of the session it happened in. If you did a dumb ruling or a silly ruling or a bad ruling before in the past that you didn't know much about, here's what you do. You judge with the ruling in a moment, and then when you learn about it later, you say, okay, I learned about the ruling in the future. In the future, you can't light yourself on fire, but if you move on, that's it. It's just that stupidly easy. This DM sucks, dude. This DM sucks. You're wasting your time on a crap DM, for real. And also, where's the rest of the party members not saying anything at all? Like, why aren't they bringing stuff up? They're all learning and everything. Obviously, some of them probably noticed, hey, wait a minute. The DM is being a little bit harsher to the new player for no reason, for asking questions and not knowing the game. Also, yeah, they don't know about the game. They're new to the game. It should be understandable. They're probably still learning about the game, you idiot. God, this DM sucks. But I was the one wrong for doing it, apparently, even though he himself allowed it. It turned to a whole argument about me telling him I'm still learning, which he knew, and he just kept telling me to go study the game. At which point I asked him directly, do you want me to study the game mechanics just to be allowed to play your game? And he said, yes. That's rich coming from somebody that didn't even know what Druid was about and had no idea anything about Druid whatsoever. Kind of rich. How about you go learn the game a little bit more, bud? How about you go learn Druid a little bit before you start nerfing a player for no stupid reason whatsoever? I understand that a player should know the basics to be able to play and that one should be familiar with their own abilities to play well, but I knew my kit, I knew my abilities, I specifically picked them because of the functionality. Once again, I only asked them situational questions, and if it wasn't for them wanting to healer, I wouldn't even be cleric to begin with. I originally didn't even want to be a druid. I wanted to be a warlock, but he told me last minute that I wasn't allowed to be a warlock because they're too OP. What? Warlocks are too OP? In which stupid freaking universe are warlocks OP? Warlocks, you know what warlocks are? I'll just explain to you, and in the best way I can explain, in form of guns. If every class in D&D, some sort of a firearm. So warlocks are a sort of shotgun that you basically take and you load up with about 2 shells for most of your journey, right? You load up with 2 shotgun shells, get them primed, bam, bam, and then you're out. And then you need to reload over a short rest because you're out. You are a blaster. You blast your load all over the place, non-sexually. And then it blasts at the highest level imaginable, so with the most amount of gusto, also not sexually. And then you gotta reload because you're out. You are too pump chump, not sexual, but kind of sexually. And that's basically what you are for majority of the freaking game. You're gonna be a 2 pump chump, blow your load, and then afterwards you need to short rest and relax, while everybody else has some loads to still blow at higher levels as well. Warlocks only basically just have cantrips to spam whenever they're out of the spells that they use, which primarily is going to be 2 if you're playing at lower level, and then 3 if you get lucky to play at a higher level. You blow your load and you got cantrips to work off of. Eldritch Blast is a great cantrip to use because it's literally the bread and butter of the warlock. God, this DM is stupid. This DM is absolutely stupid. And then allowed someone else to be a warlock when we were planning our next campaign, because apparently he finally learned how it worked. So he considers something to be overpowered because he doesn't know what it is, and when he learns about it, he just allows. This DM is so infuriating. I can't believe you even talk to some moron like this. Yeah, right, but it took him only a day to learn druids from me, even though he apparently didn't know how those worked either. I expect to be backed up as I genuinely did nothing wrong, and I didn't know why the DM was so upset with me for simply playing a class I never played before in a way he didn't find sufficient enough, but the rogue didn't take sides. The ranger agreed with the DM and told me that You're supposed to be a healer support, but you play your character offensively. My brother in Christ, of course I'll play offensively in a fight where I'm the one closest to the freaking enemy and currently being targeted by a freaking dragon trying to eat me. What the hell do you want me to do? I literally got to play my cleric twice. First time I wasn't even doing anything, and the second time was a combat session. God forbid a support tries to fight in battle, am I right? She also said that my character was a bit too edgy. Made it so my cleric was a big brother of my druid and watched her get murdered by the big boss monster in a session 4. So played him as a grieving big brother. Just because you're playing as a support doesn't mean you're completely out of options. You know what cleric can do? Here, I have a cleric that is kind of a support. It's my little Lokatha cleric Nyazu, who is a nature cleric. Guess what nature clerics get? They can get one of the druid cantrips for them learned at the start of their subclass. And guess what I took? Shillelagh. So I have this great little support cleric that has healing word and cure wounds and can recover party members and aid, shield of faith and aid and every other support spell, but also has a nice little club that shillelagh'd out to deliver bonking justice at enemies whenever he's up close in combat. And he makes for great offensive and support and even defensive when he needs to tank for a little bit. As a cleric, you can still be omni build and be able to provide different roles and be able to play different roles depending on what the situation allows. And if the party is not charging in and just staying from range, just staying from safety, somebody has to be up close and personal to be able to take the blows. Sometimes it's going to be a cleric, sometimes it could be somebody else in the party. But if nobody else is coming in to take the blows in the party and basically like draw the aggro, be the tank of the party, be the meat shield in a sense, somebody's gonna have to do it. A cleric could easily be offensive, defensive, support, healer, flanker, debuffer, buffer. They could play all kinds of roles depending on the kind of spells they can prepare. They're omni-useful, extremely omni-useful. Clerics are like super flexible. And for the party to side with the DM over the, you're supposed to be playing support. Oh, I would love to play support if somebody was there at the front lines fighting the boss so I can be in the back and healing a little bit or providing some sort of buffs. That'd be great. I wanted to wait for fighter to respond, but I just ended up quitting. I knew the DM would likely continue to single me out either way, and honestly got turned off from playing with them the moment he directly or indirectly killed my druid over something petty in my 4th session with them. I just wanted to play and have fun, but was apparently expected to just follow them around without taking initiative or doing anything myself. The rogue later told me about the unspoken rule of not splitting up the party, that me taking a look inside the cave was playing the support character too aggressively, rushing in and being too combat focused, even though I didn't know there was going to be an encounter inside the cave. They want an NPC, not a player that can make their own decisions. If you want a pocket healer, ask the DM to provide you an NPC that's going to be literally running around healing, warding, and cure woundsing without saying a single word if you really want a pocket healer. Let the player play their character and have some sort of player autonomy. Either way, thank you for reading. This all made me really sad because I really wanted to play and I was excited to finally have a chance to do so, but things went sour pretty quickly. I just want to let this off my chest and stop thinking about it because it really hurt me and made me wonder if I really did something wrong here. Oh, sweet summer child, you did nothing wrong whatsoever. Let me tell you, I've seen some horrible DMing, but the DM in this story is atrocious, absolutely awful. As a new player, you deserve to learn what your character does and play whichever role that you would like to play, whether it be a support, offensive, defensive, buffer, debuffer, whatever sounds interesting to you. Hell, maybe play as a charismatic warlock that just talks to out a situation unless you have to deal with a fight or something. You deserve to have a proper experience or proper good party that will let you learn the game properly through practice and through asking questions and through learning the mechanics and playing along with everybody, and to have a good DM that will let you play your character how you want to play them. I get sometimes parties have like a specific fill. Somebody gotta be the tank, somebody gotta be the one from range, somebody gotta be the stealthy skill master, somebody gotta be the support and healer and stuff. But at the end of the day, I feel like no matter which role you're playing, it should still be an enjoyable role to play, and you still should have player autonomy over your player character and allow for your character to have some kind of agency in this world without being basically just a bot. You're just a heal bot. They wanted a heal bot. You didn't want to play heal bot. You wanted to play an actual character. God forbid you want to play an actual character. Also, your DM is absolutely moronic, amoeba-brained idiot. How can you just say, oh, you can't play this class because I don't know this class because it's going to be too overpowered, and then suddenly change their mind when they learn about it? Maybe learn about it beforehand before you start saying something is overpowered, idiot. But for real though, OP, I really hope you find a good game where you can truly enjoy yourself and truly try playing whatever class you want to play, Warlock, Druid, Cleric, whatever, and with any kind of role that feels like it fits your forte. Seriously, this is so stupid. I'm sorry that you had such a miserable experience. I hope you get a proper experience, and maybe the next time you come back to RPG Horror Stories, you just make an edit and say, man, I found a really cool group and actually get to let me play fun stuff and actually enjoy the game and stuff, because you deserve to have fun and enjoy the game. And with that, that's gonna be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales Tomorrow. Bye-bye.